So welcome back to Jamie's Running. I didn't expect to be back so soon, but I have managed to get my hands on something that I am actually really excited about. Here's a clue. Let's open it up and see what we've got. So this is the Saucony Endorphin Speed. My first impressions, I mean, wow, this just looks great. I absolutely love it. I mean, they've totally nailed the colourway. I think this has to be one of the better looking shoes that have come out this year. It's really quite 80s and retro in its design. I mean, the colours just totally pop. Absolutely over the moon with those. Now, the reason that I bought this shoe, so I was looking for something to replace the Turbo 2. So Saucony have come out with kind of 3 tiers of shoe. They've got there's, I guess, the slower shoe, the Endorphin Shift. They've got the mid-range shoe, so the Endorphin Speed, which is this one, and they've got the Endorphin Pro, which is their answer to some of the carbon fibre plated race shoes out there. Now, this doesn't have a carbon fibre plate. It's got some other kind of plate. I'm not sure what it's made out of. Maybe I should have looked into that before I made this video, but as always, I'm not here to talk about all of the materials and stuff that make up the construction of the shoe. I'm just here to talk about how they look, how they feel on, first impressions, unboxing and taking them out for their first run. So that's what I'll be doing with these. Very first impressions, they are nice and lighter than I expected actually. Let's just get rid of this. Yeah, so even lighter than I had anticipated. The reviews that I've seen so far talk about how light they are, but yeah, I'm actually quite surprised. And if I compare maybe to the Vaporfly Next Percent, I mean, there is a little bit of a noticeable difference, but it's not a million miles away. So yeah, I'm very impressed by that. Now, as a brand, Saucony weren't really on my radar up until a couple of months ago when I first saw this shoe, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're everywhere. Everyone's talking about them. They're really difficult to get a hold of. And then yesterday, by some stroke of luck, a friend of mine just happened to mention that I'd seen a pair of size 13s, which these are, on a website, and I immediately jumped on. The website kept crashing. I was ringing customer services trying to get myself a pair. Eventually I managed to bag one of the 2 pairs of size 13s they had on there, and within maybe 2 hours the whole site had sold out. So yeah, I was really fortunate, and they arrived less than 24 hours after ordering them, which was great service. So I'm really happy to have them. So let's get into the first impressions. Again, love the colours. Quality wise, they feel and they look great. One thing that I perhaps will say is where some of the colours overlap, where the materials has obviously been sprayed or whatever, there's a little bit of overlap, a little bit of overspray, for example. You may not be able to see, but on the white there, it's got some of this turquoisey blue stuff that's gone onto there, but not noticeable. The material feels fairly sturdy. There's not a lot of give in it, but there is a slight bit of flex and movement, so it feels like it should be quite comfortable. The tongue is attached inside, which will hopefully prevent it from slipping up and down or moving side to side. Plenty of padding around the heel, so that feels like it'll be comfortable. You'll notice the outsole on the bottom there, nice colourful outsole. Now, what you've got is you've got the midsole there, which is sort of the white stuff, which is sprayed blue on the outside. But on the bottom there, you can actually see through to the midsole from the outsole, or the rubber, if you like. So this is where you're generally going to need to wear. So I'm hoping that I don't stand on any sharp stones or whatever and really tear this up, because it doesn't really feel like it would last all that long on, say, a gravel path or something. And the material itself, it looks and feels a little bit like the Adidas Boost material, which I haven't ran in for a while, but I used to a couple of years ago. So I wonder how it feels compared to that. I quite like the design there. I don't know if you can see, but there's little arrows going up from the strike zone around about here up to the toe where you would toe off. Just a nice little touch. I quite like the branding on the side. If you can see, it's got Endorphin Speed written on just on the outside of the laces there, which is pretty cool. Now, it does have a little bit of flex when you give it a bit of a bend there. So there is a plate in there, again, not carbon fibre. So if you compare it to one of the carbon fibre shoes, like the Vaporfly Next Percent, where there's a real rigidity there for that springiness and the toe off, this doesn't quite have that same pop and springiness, but there is something there. So it will hopefully translate into a bit of speed, but just not quite as rigid. And what I'm hoping, therefore, is that it doesn't run like the carbon fibre shoes. I don't need another carbon fibre plated shoe in my rotation. I've got plenty of those. What I want is something that's going to remain nice and comfortable, really for bagging some of those faster miles as well as slower miles, longer distances, interval training, that sort of thing. So something that's going to transition quite easily from an easier day shoe, so just as comfortable at slower pace as some of the faster days, intervals, tempos, that sort of thing. So I want that durability in terms of what it can be used for, and I found that in the Nike Pegasus Turbo 2. I'm hoping this is a good replacement for that, and based on some of the reviews that I've seen so far, I think they might work for that. Now, in terms of the laces, nothing special about the laces themselves. Traditional lacing system. It's got the double eyelet at the top, which is ideal for my runner's knot. I think if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I'm all about the runner's knot to ensure that I get a secure fit and prevent my ankle from sliding up and down while I'm running. Anyways, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give them a try on and see how they feel. Oh, that slipped on nicely. Even before I stand up, I feel like these are going to be really comfortable. Oh man, these feel great. I think I'm in love. So yeah, just very first impressions of the feel as you put them on, and I mean, these feel really great. I'm surprised at just how soft the midsole feels, nice and bouncy, and the material wrapping around the foot, it feels really, really comfortable. Not too tight, not too loose, it feels just about right. I'm really excited to take these out for a spin. Like, just stepping forward there, you don't feel like a carbon fibre plated shoe where you feel that kind of rigidity underfoot in the rolling towards the toe off, that pop. Don't have that in this. I wonder how it's going to feel to run in. So despite having quite wide feet, and the initial impression was that these were going to be quite thin, I actually don't feel that at all once I've got them on. Plenty of space around here, although my foot is towards the sides of the upper there, but they're not feeling restricted in any way. Tongue feels comfortable, the material feels comfortable. I've got a thumbnail's length at the end there, which I always leave because my feet swell when I'm running, and so I always like to have that little bit of extra space. There's a little bit of creasing in the front there as I bend my foot, but there's not excess of material there, so that's not going to be a problem. So sizing wise then, what I've done is I've gone for a UK 13. All of my daily trainers tend to be somewhere between a UK 12 and a 12.5. As always, my running shoes, I usually size up to a UK 13. Around the back of the heel where there's that bit of cushioning, they feel absolutely great. It feels like it's holding my heel in place nicely. I'll apply the runner's knot just to make sure that I've got a really secure fit to avoid slippage up and down. But I mean, the shoes themselves, they just feel really, really nice and comfortable. I suppose all that's left for me to do is to put them to one side with my running stuff and take them for a spin tomorrow. I'll see you then. So here we go then, let's go. So I'm just approaching my first kilometre, and I have to say the first impressions are absolutely awesome. So the shoes, they feel super light, they feel really cushioned despite having that nylon plate. They don't feel hard underfoot like you might find with a carbon fibre plate. They just feel really responsive, light. The toe off and the roll from the midfoot to the front of the foot just feels effortless. So I've just started out at a nice easy pace. I'm holding it around 4.5 to 4:45 a kilometre, and at that pace it's just sitting nice and comfortably. My foot feels wrapped in, there's no slippage as I take on the turns. The laces feel comfortable, feels like there's plenty of space all around the foot. Now around about that impact zone around the middle of the foot, so that feels cushioned enough so that it's taking the harshness away from the impact, the landing, but it feels firm enough to give you enough energy return to spring you back off in time for the next step. It's sort of
a Goldilocks and the Three Bears scenario. Not too hard, not too soft, it's pretty much just right. They've absolutely nailed it. Now, I honestly don't think I've ever found a shoe that's given out as good a first impression as these are. I mean, everything just feels right. So my feet are quite wide, they're quite flat, but there's just no problems whatsoever that I'm finding. Everything just feels comfortable, everything just kind of feels right. It's just sort of working really well for me. I've got a little bit of a hill coming up. Let's see how they feel on the incline. It felt nice and light on the uphill, no problems there. The shoe was really light, so it feels great. So I'm a little under 4 kilometers now, and what I'm going to do when I hit that 4 kilometer marker, I'm going to pick the pace up for about a kilometer or so to probably around about race pace, just to see how they transition from that easy pace to the faster pace, and then see how they are holding that faster pace and maintaining that probably for a kilometer. And what I'm looking to see really is what kind of runs that I'm going to find these shoes most suitable for, whether it be easy days, fast days, interval days, threshold days, race days, or what. So here we are coming in for 4 kilometers. Right, let's go. Right, immediately picking up the pace feels great. I'm running at 3:30 a kilometer there, no problems whatsoever. The foot strike feels good, the toe off feels good, the transition from mid-foot to toe off feels good. You can't really feel the plate, it's not harsh like you might find with a carbon fibre plate. Right, I'll see you at the end of the interval. Right, so there I had 1 kilometre interval, a time of 3 minutes and 36 seconds a kilometre. So I found that transition from the slower easy pace to the race pace pretty much effortless. The shoe responded quickly to the extra effort I was putting in, and it just felt great throughout. And they held that faster pace really well too. My foot felt nice and secure and locked in, but without being uncomfortable. So there's almost a little bit of flex in the material that responds to the movement of your foot. So you don't feel too clamped in, but you don't feel too loose. So my feet weren't moving around. So my last review, which was the Hoka One Carbon X, I found that when I picked up the pace, there was a lot of space in the toe box. And when I was running fast, I found my foot was sliding around a little bit in that extra space, and that was creating a little bit of friction, which gave a little bit of discomfort. With these, there was none of that movement, none of that friction, none of that discomfort. So that roll, if you like, from the strike point to the toe off just feels perfect. Can you tell that I like these shoes? Now let's talk a little bit about the sole and the midsole. So in some of the plated shoes, again, this is not carbon fibre, this is a nylon plate, but if you take some of the carbon fibre plated shoes, what you find is you don't really feel like you've got a great deal of stability underfoot. You don't feel that with this. You feel stable, your foot feels secure, there's no movement left and right or backwards and forwards. Even during turns, you don't feel like you're about to slip off that plate or roll your ankle. And the plate itself, it seems to give a natural rolling motion. So if you take something like the Vaporfly Next Percent, where it feels almost like you're standing on a spoon, and as you transition your weight towards the front of the spoon, it propels the back of your foot forwards. With this, it just feels like a really natural motion of the foot. So I'm a little over 7 kilometers in now. So what I'm going to do is to just kick back, switch the camera off, focus on how the shoe feels, enjoy it for a little bit, and then I'll pick back up a little later in the run. See you then. Here we are, we're just coming in that final lap, and there we have it, 12 kilometers in a time of 52 minutes and 22 seconds. I tried a little bit of everything during the run, so we've tried a little bit of race pace, a little bit of easy pace, we've pushed up hills, down hills, twists and turns, and I have to say I'm really impressed with the shoe. So Saucony have really done a great job of this. What I was looking for in the shoe was something to replace my go-to all-rounder, and I think I found that replacement in these. I mean, my first impressions couldn't get any better really. And coming to the end of the run, I didn't have any of that harshness, that, oh, I still need to break the shoe in feeling. I still feel as comfortable now as when I did when I set off on the run. My legs don't feel tired. I don't feel beaten down. I just feel pretty great. I feel like I could keep going. So in summary then, a really great all-rounder. If you were going on a holiday and you could pack just one pair of shoes to cover everything, I would definitely recommend the Endorphin Speed. I'm really, really impressed. So that's it for today then. Thank you for watching. Like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe, hit that notification bell wherever it is on the screen, and I will see you on the next video. Yo!